Will, can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay, weird. Sorry about that. Apologies. I guess I was talking for a moment there and no one could hear me. So, hey, sorry about that. You've got Will here. If you guys have any questions, please do let me know. Um, you can um, ask a question in the chat. You can ask a question in the QA or just use the raise hand feature and I can unmute you and then you can ask your question and we can try to answer it. All right, Carter. All right, hey, Carter, what can I help you with today?
Hey, so I've got a report. I'm using the same report on two different tabs of a tab set,
Okay.
and I have a form flow part or run flow part that I think should be updating the filter within the report, so the report shows a different filter on each tab set. But I don't think that's running through. Could y'all walk me through on what I'm doing wrong in that configuration?
Okay, so you're creating like custom like a report filter user interface,
Yes,
right? And then
without the user interface. Yeah, it won't be viewable on the user interface.
okay,
Was hoping that it would just run in the background.
so you like the form loads, or excuse me, you load a page. On that page is a flow run part that sets like a set dashboard report parameter step,
Yes,
and then okay, and then is it working on one or the other of the reports or neither?
neither. Right now, it's just showing
Okay,
the filter
yeah,
that's currently set in the report.
got it. Okay, so yeah, we should be able to mock that up really quickly. Let
Yeah,
me just
awesome.
get some stuff here. All right, so let's go ahead and create ourselves a folder to hold our stuff. All right, and then we'll come and create a page. And on this page, I will find a flow run. I'll add a flow run part. So there's flow run part, put it up there. Then I'll put two report viewers. Go ahead and create a report. And I'm just going to use account as my data source. Okay, account data source, and I'm going to put email address and some created by information. And then I'll come here and kind of just duplicate. I guess I'll create a new report, which is basically the same data source, just to have two here just to show it, even though it might not be really meaningful to the example. So here's account data source. I'll just do some different properties there, like deleted by, deleted on, something like that. Okay. There's that. Let me go ahead and just save this, back out, and come to my folder, manage page dashboard, add page dashboard, garbage text. Let me pick my page I just created. All right, so that gives me now my two reports. Okay, great. So now if I come into my page, I'm gonna go ahead and create my flow run part, create new, flow. All right, and then I'm gonna find my dashboard report parameter step. So dash Ooh, is it dashboard? Set dashboard report parameters. Okay. I'm gonna make this flow to be folder aware so I don't have to specify the folder ID. So I'm gonna come to settings, behavior type, and I search aware. There you go. User action flow or page context aware flow. Ooh, let's try user. I'm honestly not sure. But if I do that and I look at Data Explorer, I should have folder IDs and I can pass in folder ID so that this page can kind of be a bit portable. Now report parameters. I'm going to come here and I'm going to make, I haven't yet added the filters to my report. So I'm starting here first, but what I'm going to do is create a string. I'm going to create a data definition and the casing matters here. The biggest people miss is that they're trying to, is the, that it doesn't match exactly for the filter. So I'm going to create this and then end. That should be all I need. I'm gonna just go ahead and set this to be admin@decisions.com, right? And actually, before I do that, I'm gonna put a pop-up just so I can confirm this is running. I'm gonna get rid of this, right? Just put a pop-up here quickly so I can see in the UI that this is actually running. So let me click save. If I navigate, let me exit here and click save. Now, if I come back, I should see the pop-up. Okay, it's going nuts, which is probably not ideal, but that's okay. Oh yeah, okay. We might not want to do that, but there we go. We got a bunch of notifications. So let me come back to my page, and now let's configure the report to accept that filter. So I'm going to edit the report. I'm going to come to filters, add. I'm going to find the property I want to filter on. Excuse me. So I go to field filters, find email address equals. Now I'm going to leave it, I'm going to set true on show all when empty. And I'm going to change its runtime behavior to get values from other reports. And I'm going to replace the filter name with that very intentionally named that filter. I'm going to just keep it on just one report for now. I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to come here. And then you'll see that it's applying. I mean, I want to find a way for it to not do what it's doing right now, which is run constantly. Which means we probably want to put like some kind of form or something that's stopping it from hitting its end step. But now you can see by doing that, I was able to get and I can hide this with CSS. I can remove this thing. I can do some work in the UI to kind of like make this not appear, as well as I could basically have like an empty white form that shows here with no end step or something, right? If you're just trying to get this to sort of refresh a report on page load. But as long as you've got the folder ID and on the set dashboard report parameters step, and the filter name matches the data definition name on that step, it should work.
Gotcha. Okay. So on your report,
Mm-hmm.
you said the filter, you were taking the runtime behavior get values from the report?
Yeah, correct. So it knows where to listen to.
Sure. Is that, and then how did you reference the folder ID in the flow run part?
I changed the behavior of the flow itself. So if I come in here to the flow run part and I edit it, I could do like if this is the only folder where you're doing this, just set it as a static ID. But I didn't want to actually go find the folder. So what I did is in the flow settings, if I come to properties settings, I can change, there's different flow behaviors and decisions that give you different sort of like capabilities. There's a thing here called user action flow. And if I create that, I actually get these two new properties. This flow knows the folder that it's attached to, and it'll give you that folder ID for free as a default input. And so I was able to make use of that flow behavior, knowing that it gives me folder ID to pass that folder ID into the step.
Gotcha. Let me test that out. Okay. Perfect. That did work, at least I think. And then on the, how would you stop that endless load? Just add a end step or a stop
Like
session in
honestly,
the flow run part?
it'd be like like an empty form, like a blank form would stop it from happening. If you don't need it to ever reload, its job is to only load on initial like page render.
Yeah,
You just want it to run one time, then yeah, an empty form will handle it for you. What
in the
happens is
flow
a
run
flow run
part.
part, yeah, exactly. Because when flow run
Okay.
part hits its end step, it automatically relaunches the flow again because it thinks you're creating like a kiosk type like kind of experience where on completion reload. And so that's just the way that those flow run parts are I don't think you can control that. So it feels a little wonky, admittedly, right? Yeah, I don't think you can control it. To put a form in there just to do that, but it's a fine sort of solution. But yeah, in the flow run part, basically, you would put like you do something like you put here's my form, right? I'm just gonna make a form, create new. I'm not even gonna put anything on this form. I'm just gonna leave it as is someday.
Yep, I did it on my end. That works great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what my local's doing right now, but yeah, wonderful. But yeah, so there you go. Anything else? Any other help you need there?
Nope, that is perfect. Appreciate it.
Okay, you bet. All right, then we got a question from Peyton here. I'm trying to set up a flow run part to filter report based on a drop-down selection. I have the filter working, but I want the value that is selected in the drop-down to stay in the drop-down. Okay, two flow run part report filter questions in one day. Interesting. Okay, so you have like a flow run part on a page, kind of, and in that flow run part, you've got a drop down list. So you're trying to create like a custom report filter user interface, right?
Yeah, so I have a drop down,
Okay.
and it's basically just selecting a year for a report. I don't want them to have to click a button though. Whenever they select from that drop down, I just want it to automatically complete the report.
Okay.
And I
Got
have
it.
that working, but the value just doesn't stay in the drop down. It reverts back to select a year, even though the report stays as what it should be.
I see. Yeah. Okay. So the flow run part is hitting its end step and then reloading, right? So you watch like the flicker of the flow run. You watch the report, the sort of the form flicker. It reloads itself. So you
Yeah,
need you
the
need
selection reloads, but the report stays loaded.
So what you want is don't hit the end step. You want the design of that flow to loop back on the form, right? So that it
Mhm.
can hit the dashboard report parameter step, right? So you have your form with the drop down list. And then after that, immediately or sometime after that, you have your set dashboard report parameter step, right? Which is sending the filter to your report.
Yes.
Don't have it hit the end step. Have it loop back to the main flow. And then what you want to do, I'll walk you through, I'll show you this really quick. You want to like use the selected item as a variable that you update in the flow. That'll get you what you want. So like a what am I going to name this? Keep drop down list selection. It's not actually even, it has nothing to do with report parameters at all.
Mhm.
After form complete. That's kind of the thing where I think we're doing here. I
So if
don't
I wanted
even
to go to the output, then would the only way to be able to get that value to be a get page variable or something along those lines to get the
um
selected year?
like when the form reloads.
Yeah, so once they select it, if I wanted to use that year in something else.
Let me really quick, Peyton, let me whip this together for you and then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I follow the question exactly. So bear with me just a sec here. Let's create a form. On this form, I'm not going to do the auto select thing since you said you have that. I'm just going to put a drop down list here, right? List input source is data name. The name is going to be like drop down list. The type is going to be string, right? Not output only. And this is going to be selected item. And then this will be, I'll just name this all items to be a little bit more clear. All right, great. Let me save this. And then what I want is basically, I want the selected item to be passed into selected item here. So if I search for dashboard again, and find my set dashboard report parameter step, let's assume that I'm setting this thing up correctly. I'm just gonna kind of do what I did before, go to flow settings, change this by searching for aware. If I spell it right, there's user context. And then I'll just go ahead and select folder ID. Okay. And then what I want to do is loop back here. Now that I've done that, what I'll get is the ability. So all items, I'm just going to say A, B, C, right? A, B, C, D. And then selected item, I'm going to do select value from flow, and I'm going to select selected item. Now that I've got this design, let me try to minimize this if I can. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, okay, that doesn't work. Now that I have this design that has this looping behavior, I can actually use the output as an input value, like it's a valid mapping path. And so if I were to debug this and just run it, it's not going to set anything, and I can go ahead and set C, and then I can submit. Oh, okay, that failed. That's fine. Let me just put a constant folder ID in for now then. Okay, let me select C. And when I reload, it'll keep C because it's looking for that. It's when it reloads the form, it's looking for the output value. The first time you load it, it has nothing, right? The second time you do it, it's looking for it can use its output as an input because the flow isn't just, step, 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 end. It has this kind of loop back design.
Mhm.
It's now that output value is in some sense upstream from the form, and it can map that in.
So would this be the same if I was mapping in the list values from input source? So for that show form, I have an input source going into it.
Say that one more time for me.
So in the example you're showing, instead of just having a static list, I'm using a list generated by a flow.
Okay.
And I only have, whenever I look at it, I just see selected. I don't see all items since it's
Yeah, should make
selected
a
is my
difference.
input list.
That should be fun, I think. Like, so if I look at your drop down list, you're actually using not data name, but from flow here.
It is from data name,
Oh,
but
okay.
then my
You're using an active
selected
form
is
flow.
just from a subflow.
Your selected is from a subflow.
So not in here. If you click out of this form,
Okay,
yeah, so the flow it's getting the data from is right before the show form.
that's fine. It shouldn't matter. The question is
Okay.
like, what's the value? So here I'm under outputs, right? And I'm looking at the output of that drop down list. Am I using the value, the name of the output as the input name here, right? So this is selecting from flow selected item, and it's outputting selected item.
Okay, so you just need to name them the same thing.
Yeah, well, yeah, basically when now that this path loops back, when I do select from flow, it'll actually give me the option of selecting its output in the type picker here. So selected item now shows. Whereas if if this didn't have that loop behavior, and I came and I tried to find it, it wouldn't be there. So because now the path has the ability to loop back on itself, there's more options. The output options of the form are now available for like mapping to the input. And you kind of leverage that, if you will, to be able to map, to be able to keep the selection as you complete the form multiple times. Because
Okay.
when you run this and you submit, it's going to set this a string variable called selected item or whatever, selected item to some value, and then until you change that value or in the flow, it'll keep that value. You kind of leverage that to kind of do what you're doing here.
I see. Okay.
Does that help? Or you want me to? I could expand the example a bit more to make it closer to what I think yours is, if that would help.
No, that looks like it did the trick.
Okay, great, wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Happy to help. All right, anybody else have anything for us today? Okay, wonderful. Thanks. I guess that's everything. We're just about 12:30 and the group is kind of filtering out. So last call. Got any questions? If not, we'll go ahead and call it. Y'all have Jared tomorrow and Ashley on Thursday as well, if you have additional questions. Cool. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day and a great rest of your week. Talk to you next week. See ya.